You're listening to RIAcast, a podcast of the Southwest Florida Real Estate Investment Association. RIAcast brings together a variety of real estate entrepreneurs from all over the world to share tips and ideas. The core purpose of the Southwest Florida RIA is to help members become more profitable and successful through networking, education, and empowerment. Here are your hosts, Jeff Tamarello and Michael Lyons.
My name is Mike Lyons. I'm one of the directors of the Southwest Florida Real Estate Investment Association, also joined by the other director, Jeff Tamarello, the one and only. There he is. We also have with us today Ian Volks. He's our speaker for our upcoming luncheon. Ian, how are you?
Good. How you doing today, Mike?
And on the most in-depth questions of just kidding. I got nothing, man. How's the real estate going, man? How's your business? What's new?
It's a lot of general contracts coming through, so our business has rebounded from poor sales last year pretty well. And then real estate investing has been picking up. That side of my business has been picking up pretty well.
That's awesome. Now, you're a licensed general contractor, correct?
Yes, I'm a certified general contractor.
And do you focus on residential, commercial, both? Like, do you have a focus, or what's the game plan?
So we do pretty large residential projects, and then we do smaller commercial projects. So we consider ourselves in the middle of size. And then in my investment business, I'm pretty much considered a mom and pop, so a smaller investor.
What's that, Jeff?
I said we all are, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, mom and pop approach.
I want to be BlackRock, but I don't have the Rolodex or the address book or whatever you're going to call it. The young Thundercats don't even know what a Rolodex is these days.
Oh, so you said Rolodex, are like, wait, what? What's a phone booth? What? Yeah. Well, good. Well, no, we got you speaking and coming up here, but what's your latest investment stuff you've been doing? What's working? What's not working? What kind of thoughts do you have?
So I've been doing a lot of what I would consider add value investing.
Yeah.
So I have under contract and I'm closing on an old dilapidated property with 3 expensive lots on it. So I'm going to be cutting off the laundry room so that way I could create a big enough easement.
Yeah.
So that way the county will split the lots, and then I'm going to split the lots, build on the other lots, and then use the dilapidated property as a rental property. So I consider that like add value investing. So that, and then also I've gotten into some life estate deeds, which are pretty interesting. Yeah, so that's the kind of, and novations too. So like what the real estate investors call novations, I don't really call it novation. Novation is just a change of a replacement of a contract with another, but we're actually flipping properties that we're not buying. So that's a very good vehicle to use.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now, do you do anything with land, or are you more to the development side? I mean, have you done any new construction development type stuff in the past? I thought we've discussed you built a few homes in your day, being a general contractor.
Yeah, actually, I've done small tract development. I developed, I would say 10 to 15 lots in parcels of land. So I consider it small tract. I haven't done anything large. Not really interested in it. I do understand it, but I really like the buying a property, having a bunch of lots on it, and being able to split it off and then build properties on it. It's a good way to find lots that are in our harder to find areas. Because I'm doing this in South Lee County, which is a lot different of an environment than trying to find lots, elsewhere.
How was working? This is a good question, Jeff. You can chime in on this too. But how's working with the county and city, pulling permits and stuff? Is that a challenge? Is it improved? How would you describe it?
Well, it's like anything with the government. I mean, it's it's the government being the government. I mean, so you just have to learn how to play the game, figure out what they need. I went to Collier Builders Industry Association, so the CBIA roundtable meeting, and they had the City of Naples building official there. I actually sat next to him, and he was commenting on, if you've been through 10 permits and you always get rejected for the same things. Like maybe you should create a checklist, and that way next time you apply, you kind of know what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And I couldn't agree more with that. So when you go through different municipalities and you figure out what they need, um, try to do like get them what they need before they reject it, and that just costs time. And that's actually a great thing to talk about because I'm actually going to be talking a little bit about so you get busted. I'm going to be talking about at the RIA luncheon. So if you get busted doing a project without a permit, or you did a whole entire project and now you got a uh, code enforcement after you, like how do you cure that? And being part of the or so what next? So being part of the RIA, I meet a lot of the people who go to the RIA. I would say that's the number one phone call that I get from the members of the RIA. And I've helped no like numerous people, members of the RIA solve some problems. I didn't even charge them for it. Um, so that's probably one of the number one things that people call me about
Good.
is they just want some assistance on how to fix a code violation. Pretty much I get the calls about the code violations.
Sure.
Um,
And I feel like too that in the county, my experience, they were pretty lenient for quite some time after hurricanes because there's just so. I don't think they had the manpower to handle all the problems that were, but I feel like they've come out of code violations that have existed for a long time, but they're coming out, you know,
I've
finding
never
people and
understood how they'll sit on something forever. It's usually when a deed transfers, and then suddenly, all I can think of is maybe it was there, but it just wasn't part of their workflow, and maybe they get a report that the deeds have transferred, and then that triggers them to go circle back to it. But
somebody,
go ahead.
in my experience, it's usually somebody tattling on somebody else.
Yeah.
So it's either retaliation for something in the neighborhood or just somebody's a NIMBY, so like not in my backyarder.
yep,
They see something and they're like, I don't like this, screw them, you know.
yep.
I,
I have it from a landlord standpoint. We have that from time to time. I actually had a property that I bought, gosh, 4 or 5 years ago now, but that I still, rent out. It's been a great property, but the tenant was late on rent and was asked about it, and then I've got an inspector called me, a code violation officer called me, and I'm like, wait, what? And he said, you need to put all new electric in here. I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about? And I ended up like, all right, well, to be in compliance, if you need me to, I will. But I don't think that would have happened had had the fun tenant that I had call it in, and I ended up evicting her too. Like she stopped paying, and I had to get rid of her. But she cost me a lot of money from just complaining to the county because otherwise, I don't think they would have said a word. So.
yeah, that makes sense. It's a lot of tattling that leads to them. And you know what I noticed with some of these calls that I've helped out with some of the RIA members is Jeff's absolutely correct. Like after the hurricanes, they don't really come around, but then there's a point where they do, and they come out pretty hard.
Yep.
And I think that point was sometime last year, or maybe even the year before. Um, and that's when the phone calls started, that I started getting, primarily with people that I know. It's not really something that um, clients are calling us to do.
Yeah.
Um, our clients aren't really in that situation typically. But with investors, it's going to happen quite often. I would say the number one thing that people call me about is illegal garage conversions or non-conforming garage conversions.
Yeah,
Like
makes sense.
City of Fort Myers has been cracking down on that pretty hard, um, from what I've seen. And then windows as well, like replacing windows without permits.
You
I've been
can do
seeing
how
that.
many a month though? You can do so many, like two or some percentage of the structure as repairs.
Yeah, how does
And
that work, Ian? Do you know that? How many windows can be changed without having a pool permit?
I think it's a percentage of the total openings. So from what I've gathered in the building code, so I don't know if it's different. elsewhere, but it's 25% of the openings, and then you can't change the size of the opening. So
Okay.
if you have 8 openings, you could do 2, and you can't resize them without a permit. Um, but actually, you could change them and a lot of times they call that an over-the-counter permit. Even one window, they kind of want you to get the over-the-counter permit on that, even so. But people get away with it, and they know about it, and they don't say anything because it's less than 25% because of that's how the Florida Building Code is written. Like we looked this up in the book, and that's exactly what it reads as of 2023 Florida Building Code.
So if 25, are you saying 25% of the windows, less than 25% are replaced, you have to pull a permit?
You don't, but I'm seeing like City of Fort Myers wants one window to be permitted. So even though it's in the building code, they're allowed to enhance the rules.
Gotcha.
But I know that we replaced windows in Lee County, and they obviously knew about it, and they didn't say anything. Like in Lehigh Acres, and they were out there inspecting other things, and they didn't say about anything about those windows. So
Yeah, the city of Fort Myers is not a place to play around.
No, 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 no.
No.
You want to not have a good time? Fight with them for a while. That'd be,
Yeah.
yeah, that's not fun.
Because you're not going to win. I mean,
No.
you can go in with the statute, and you're still not going to win. You know what I mean? If they say it is, just give them what they want.
Yep.
So,
I found these officials too, though. If you're professional, polite, find out what they're looking for and work with them, they're pretty easy to work with. That part, just very rare that I get people that are so difficult. I've had more issues with like fire inspectors than I have.
Oh yeah,
code
yeah.
officers.
Fire inspectors are crazy.
There's been a few
I've
like
dealt with some crazy ones. Like we failed a fire inspection in Bonita, and I was like, "Well, can you tell me why?" No, I can't. I'm like, "What do you mean?" No,
yeah,
I can't tell you why you failed. I'm like, "That's crazy."
yeah, I've heard that a few times. And actually, what's bad too is you have one inspector that comes out and who's like, "Oh yeah, you're good," and then you get another inspector for whatever reason, just as the same guy doesn't come, and then it's like, "No, we need to do this," and like, wait, what?
And that's really why I like using private providers. Like my private provider, I get to pick the inspector that inspects my property that I'm working on or that I own, and then it's also the same one for everything.
Yeah.
Wherever I go, I can have the same guy, which this is one guy who I really like. He's kind of strict, but he makes it easy for you. So and that's predictable, and that's why I spend like on a permit, it'll cost me $4,000 pretty much on any permit. Just any permit's $4,000 or with the private provider I use. But it's always consistent. Like it's the same guy goes to Naples as Fort Myers Beach, as North Fort Myers. These are some of the places that we're working at. So I have the same guy come and I know exactly what he's looking for. It's predictable. And even like I've built houses in Cape Coral and I did not use private provider and they had every inspection there was a different inspector. So it was just crazy because it's almost like they do that intentionally because they're trying to avoid anybody saying that they're getting paid off. So the more people they have there, it's like, hey, listen, we had 10 inspectors, 20 inspectors on this project. You didn't, there's no evidence that shows that you paid them off.
Yeah.
And so they kind of do that intentionally. And then you have those problems. One inspector will say, hey, it's great. And the next one will show up and say, I don't like it. It's like, wait a second, I just passed that inspection. And they're like, well, we're taking it back. I'm like, you're taking back an inspection that was passed? That's very strange.
You've had them take it back. I've never had that happen.
Yeah, they take it back. They pretty much they say failed after you passed. And it's unbelievable. Like I think it's crazy. Like once you pass, you pass.
Well,
does that even happen in Chicago?
It happens. I've never actually had that. Most of the stuff in Chicago that we did, like they just come, show up, and they pass or fail it. And it's a lot easier to pass inspections in Chicago and then outside of Chicago as well. Basically, they're not very strict about anything in Illinois. And I've seen that in Indiana as well, and in Arizona. Those are all places I've worked. Um,
Is this
doing
the worst? Is this the most difficult you've dealt with when it comes to
by
building?
far.
By far, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty strict. Some things they're not strict about, like finishes. They're not strict about finishes in Florida. They're strict about structure, windows, roofing, soffits. They're strict about, structure is a big thing here, and they're super strict about it,
Well, I'm
which
sure too, the storms we deal with, I get that part. They want it to be safe. There's just times where I'm dealing with a project right now down on the beach, and I'm just like, the amount of delays and just nitpicking stuff that just drop. It's just incredible. So that's I mean, again, I hate to even knock the inspectors themselves or like the permitting department because I think they're very understaffed. They don't have enough people to do all the amount of volume down there. Oh man, it's been taking forever, man, forever.
yeah, Fort Myers Beach has always been terrible. Like if that's who you're talking about, and it's not the people working there, like you said. The people are so inconsistent. They roll them in and out.
Yeah,
It's really just their processes that are terrible.
yeah,
Like if that happened in the private sector, they would be out of business like really fast.
yep.
But they're not a business, so they can get away with it. Like my private provider is in the private sector and they have other private providers to compete against. So they got to have systems in place and they got to perform or or I'm just going to go somewhere else. But
Sure.
in the government, you can't do that. Like I can't go somewhere else. Like it is what it is. And see, that's the biggest problem with it is they're not like if they all they have to do is fix like they're talking about enhancements to portals, right? Okay, if we enhance this portal, then this one thing will make our job easier. Well, no, that's not necessarily the case here. That one thing, if you do that, you're going to save the people a bunch of phone calls. But see, they look at it like, oh, it's going to save us time. No, it's going to make it easier for everybody trying to do things out there. They just think of themselves. They're like, well, the reason why we're doing this is because it's going to make it easier for us versus, hey, we've got to do this to make it easier for the applicants and the people that are pulling the permits.
There you
So
go.
it's just a mentality thing, right? It's like, hey, if it doesn't matter if it benefits the people, the applicants, right? It only benefits if it benefits them, then they'll make the enhancements to the system, which is just terrible.
Yep. Not a fun time. Well, when it comes to just the real estate investing and building, we're very much looking forward to your presentation. Is there any other teasers you want to give for what you're going to discuss at our meeting?
Um, yeah, so I'm just going to be talking about basically, the reason why I want to come up in front of the RIA and, have a talk with everybody is from what I've gathered, some people are really confused about what they should do, how to get started. Maybe they're like intermediate. How do I continue on what I did before? A lot of people are stuck right now. And they're stuck on like 10% cash on cash, right? If I don't get 10% cash on cash, I'm not doing this deal. Or they get stuck on hey, I need to find a property either on or off market and I need to get it for 30, 40% on the dollar. And I'm not saying that those things don't exist because they do, but there's also other ways to look at it. And, a lot of people are scaled and a lot of people aren't. Like myself, I don't consider myself scaled in real estate, but I'm still making things happen and I'm still doing things. And I just wanted to share with some strategies that I've been working on, actually been doing. And they're just not things I read out of a guru book. So
Which is probably why they're working. Yeah.
Yeah.
they work until they don't. But
No, that's the key to something is when it no longer works, you stop it and find something else.
You
I mean,
pivot.
my life was 90% land for 4 years because that's what worked. And then, especially pre-Ian, the land market started softening. and then post Ian it really softened. And then ironically, that's about the time 85,000 15-year-olds came into the space and are calling and making offers with no comps and no ability to do. Ironically, a lot of them have my contract somehow. So literally
It
my
sold it to
contract,
them.
there's the one-page land contract, which I think goes back to Jack Soloway and Secured Holdings.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I made some changes to it, and then my contract, I've had my contract sent to me, the exact verbiage in it, and I'm like, bro, where'd you get this?
You should be honored.
No, I am and I'm not, but the sad part is I know that an attorney kind of wrote the initial one. I made some changes myself based on what I wanted. Un, I don't know. I don't know if it would hold up in litigation or not. You know what I mean? I mean, we did litigate some of those contracts, and they
The
did
best
hold up.
part, Jeff, what you just said was an attorney kind of wrote the contract.
Yeah, well, I know an attorney was involved, but then when you get it, hey, I don't like that. I don't like this. This is gonna be a problem with the close. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So, but I crack up with that, but like that space is so fished out. I'm seeing a lot of people kind of throwing their arms up in the air in that space because I went out with, what if I don't need to have a phone room? What if I could just buy from other wholesalers and make money? And that would be a better life. You know what I mean? Just buy it, JV with them, whatever, and make money. But I got to the point where I was at least an hour to 2 hours a day comping lots that are just market plus.
Yeah.
And then you finally get to talking to them again to get to where the underlying contract is. And the underlying contract is like 95% of market with the seller having their closing costs paid and they're not having any like realtor costs or anything like that. So technically they're netting more than they would on the market.
Yeah.
But then you've got this young wholesaler that just made it real for this 75-year-old guy in Pennsylvania.
Yep.
So it's real now. And this guy, I got it once, I'll get it again. Come on, Barb. We're gonna go to the Poconos twice this year. So, that's the starting out is an interesting topic, Ian, because I really the other day sat down a couple weeks ago. I have every morning when I'm having coffee, I try and think of something, and I thought about it in this market. If you were starting out, what would you focus on? Because it's not very apparent at all.
And I'm gonna talk about that too. Like my first deal that I did in 2003, right when I was trying to become a general contractor and couldn't sell a general contracting project because I was young and dumb. Um, I had got a newspaper and I had bought a property, or I found a property that I wanted to buy, and I had bought the property, and I did had no idea it was a wholesaler. So it was in the newspaper, and the property was $40,000. What I found out was that company, they actually got in trouble for laundering money through drug dealers or something. But what I found out was they wholesaled a property that got for free from the city of Chicago. And they wholesaled it to me, and I had no idea. They made 40,000 and I lost 50,000 on the deal.
Oh, wow.
So, and then when I figured it all out, what they did, I was like, oh, maybe I should try doing some of that, right? Honestly, not the money laundering. I'm talking about the wholesaling. Well, but that was
Hey, we're glad you clarified because we were kind of wondering.
that was where I was. That's where I'm hung up on nowadays. Is the entry point of wholesalers, or excuse me, real estate investors, is wholesaling, which I don't think is a beginner thing. I think that's more advanced. You got to have more advanced skill sets to be successful at it.
Mhm.
It's not just sign a contract and then, oh, you just made 30 grand. No, you got to know how to price the rehabs out. You got to know what the holding costs are going to be with the end user, which in this case is not really an end user, it's a flipper, or it could be a landlord. You got to know all these numbers. Like you got to know the holding costs. You got to know what areas people are buying in, who's buying what, where. It's pretty advanced, and the first things I was doing was flipping, and that's where I learned how to first be a general contractor, which is crazy. I actually was an investor before I was general contractor. And then also, um, you know, it's just crazy that people think that they're going to become a wholesaler and be successful at it. Really, they need to do flipping because then they'll learn how to do all this stuff. They'll know how to serve their clients, which are flippers, and they are
Yeah,
landlords. They don't know how to serve their clients. Like, okay, they're not clients. They're
your
what
end
would you call
buyers.
that?
Yeah,
They're
your end buyers.
customers, right? Or what they're buying stuff from them. They're giving them money. So I don't know what you'd really call that, but yeah,
Well, and
it's
the
interesting.
virtual wholesaling thing has really made it because, it's a great pitch if you're selling people to the back of the room. You're going to be able to do business everywhere. But I was up in Georgia. I just got back from Georgia yesterday. And I went and looked at this $30,000 brick house 5 miles from Fort Benning. It's right by where I was going up for to do some recreational stuff. And I was laughing because I'm, driving up there and the guy calls me and the entire block is vacant with the front doors hanging open. Every house facing it, front doors hanging open, furniture in the front yard. The rest of the neighborhood was kind of not great, but at least people lived there. And the house was hilarious. It's literally an animal I think had given birth in the living room recently. And so then the wholesaler calls me with, should I proceed with, I was getting ready to send you the assignment. I'm like, well, he wanted 30. I'm like, I think 10's my number on this thing. And I also think the only way I do it is if you could tie up all the houses around it and make it a package deal because I'm never going to rent this house out with those other five sitting there. And then I get to talking to him and of course virtual wholesaler. And I'm like, if you don't mind, can I get your photographer's number? So, because that dude is talented. I thought I was walking into a light rehab and by God, it was a mess. Like, I don't even know. I'm thinking they Photoshop stuff out of the pictures and then put it
Well,
online.
it makes me think of that one house you went and looked at, and they said minor roof damage, minor fire damage.
Yeah, minor smoke damage, and there was about a trash can size hole in the roof. So yeah, now the
The
wholesaling, you're exactly right, Ian. Everybody goes there because you can make a lot of money wholesaling. I mean, I wholesaled one saltwater lot and made 100. I did another one and made 60 on just a piece of land.
Yeah, but you got 30 years experience, like plus. I don't even know
Damn,
how
I
much
don't think I got
experience.
that much.
50. No, I'm joking.
He started when he was 12, so it could be 30.
No,
Yeah,
you have ample experience in this
thank
stuff,
you. That's better.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
Qualified.
and
That's what we
and these
prefer.
people have no experience. The whole virtual wholesaling thing is a bunch of junk. Like it's some guru, and they see some people doing it. I'm not saying it doesn't work because it does work, but some guru or YouTube guru told them to do this, and they see somebody else maybe winning in it, and so they want to jump in it. So it's kind of like a FOMO thing. But the biggest thing with that whole ordeal is it's like I have to trust but verify.
Yeah.
So even if I hire somebody to go take pictures of something, I can have a good idea about it, but until I go there and walk the property, I'm just not going to take somebody's word for it. And it's not that I don't trust them. I do trust them. I trust everybody, but I verify on everybody.
Well,
And
I had
that's
a
the most
realtor
important thing.
recently pitched me a property in Valdosta, and I'm like, she just texted me a couple pictures. It was in the city of Valdosta, and I'm like, how far are you from it? I had her FaceTime me, and I'm like, okay, walk left, okay, walk right. I was like, I want to see the stuff myself. I do not trust somebody to snap 8 really subjective pictures, text it to me, and then go, yeah, that sounds great. Here's $60,000 of my money that I'm probably not going to get back.
Yeah, I just can't do it. Like I have to go look at these places. Even if I was to buy a place, like I bought when I was out in Arizona, I bought property out there, made a ton of money during the global financial crisis. Um, but let's say I want to buy a property in Arizona, or better yet, Texas. Like I've done some stuff in Texas too previously. Um, and I got people sending me stuff right now. If I find a property I want to get, I'm gonna get on a plane and I'm gonna fly there. And people are like, "Oh, that it's not a scalable event." No, it's not. But you know what? People who are scaled, they're doing that. They're putting somebody on a plane and they're flying them there. Because see, like I worked with this hedge fund and they didn't do that, and they were buying tax deed sales, and they ended up with 2 houses that were torn down out of about 10 that they bought because they did it remotely. And it's doing this stuff remotely could work to a certain extent, but you always have to put somebody on a plane and have them go there, or in a car. Doesn't need to be a plane, and go there and actually walk the property. Somebody that works for the company too. It can't just be like, oh, I found somebody on Craigslist for $25 to go take pictures. Like it has to be somebody who has financial stake at things.
But guys, there's some pretty upstanding people that do business on Craigslist. Let's be honest here. Sorry, I'm just kidding.
There is though. I mean, it's like anywhere. You might think like Craigslist has a notorious like reputation, but you can find people on Craigslist for things. It's just like the places that you go to that you think you're gonna get the cream of the crop. There's snakes hiding in there too. So it's so you gotta really trust the verify.
On Facebook or on Craigslist. There could be some bad stuff on there. We gotta be careful. But
Facebook too.
Anywhere.
Facebook is Craigslist. Like Facebook is the 2025 version of 2004 Craigslist. I mean, we're at the same point here.
Yeah.
No,
it makes sense. Well, Ian, we very much appreciate the time you spent with us today. Looking forward to your presentation. Everyone come and ask him a bunch of questions. Hopefully we can stump him on a few things and make it make it a good time. But
no legal advice.
What's that?
No legal advice.
No legal advice. It's your experience and what you've done and what's worked and what hasn't worked. That's what people want. That's what we like too. So anyway, we appreciate you being on, man. We'll see you at the luncheon.
Have a good day, gentlemen.
You too, man. Thanks.
Bye.
This concludes this edition of RIAcast. Be sure to subscribe to receive our next episode. You can also subscribe at our website, www.swflreia.com. See you at a meeting soon. Please let us know if you have a suggestion for a future episode.